Hey guys, it's Dani, and today I am back with some more food for thought. Now, in my last couple of food for thought videos, we have been chatting about discipline and willpower, what the difference is between the two of them, and why self-discipline is much more effective for health and weight loss goals. As a matter of fact, I would say that for any type of goal, really. So if you missed the previous videos, I will link to them down in the description box below if you have the desire to check them out. But today what I wanted to address was some of the comments from those videos of people asking, well, how can we cultivate more self-discipline in our lives? So today I am sharing my top 5 clean and delicious tips on how to cultivate more self-discipline in your life so you can continue to move towards your health, wellness, and weight loss goals. And I also think it's very important to mention that self-discipline and self-growth, it does not make you a better person. It doesn't make you a more worthy person. It doesn't make you a more whole person. All of those things you already are. We are all of those things inherently. But what it can do is help us to live more fulfilled, engaged, and happy lives. So just as a reminder, my definition of self-discipline is getting to really know yourself and your body and your personal dreams, right? And then becoming a person who practices living in alignment with that truth, right? So it's really like the ultimate honoring of thyself. It's not about doing what you think you should do or what somebody else thinks you should do or what somebody else is doing, right? What it's really about is connecting to what feels good for you and what you want for yourself, and then living in the space that is consciously working towards that. So tip number 1 is to identify what you want and why you want it, right? So what's the goal and why is it important to you? So many of us are in the habit of knowing what we don't want, but we don't really have clarity on the things that we do want. What is the thing that you are wanting or wanting to achieve? The more specific you can be, the better. So for example, if you're saying to yourself, oh, I want to be more healthy, right? That's very vague and it might be a hard goal to move towards. But if you can get more specific, say, I want to lose 20 pounds. That's more specific. Or I want to improve the quality of the food that I'm eating and learn to cook more. That's more specific. Or I want to become more fit. I want to be able to run 1 mile and do 10 push-ups, right? Now you have very specific, tangible goals that you're able to begin to work toward. So step 1 is to identify what it is you want and why you want it, because this is going to serve as your anchor throughout the process. Tip 2 is to connect to your want and your why every single day. This is the fuel that springs you into action. Oftentimes we think that we have motivation problems, but really what we have are inspiration problems, and that's because we are disconnected from what we are wanting and why we are wanting it. So many of us spend so much time rooted in the reality of what we don't have or what we haven't accomplished that we get very discouraged, and then we don't want to even think about it. We actually stop dreaming and stop thinking about what it is we really want because we kind of stop believing. But when you take the time to connect to the dream, to connect to the want and the why, right? Then you can feel the excitement of having it. You can really connect to that space when you are doing that thing or having that thing or having achieved that thing. And that desire literally becomes the fuel. It is the inspiration that puts you into action. What would it feel like for you to accomplish that thing or embody that goal or have had achieved it, right? What would the byproduct be? How does it benefit you? I really want you to remember why it's important to you. Personally, I think the best way to go about this is to begin a little morning practice. The way that I like to do it is I wake up in the morning and I have a 10 to 15 minute journaling session. The first thing I do is I write down one thing I am grateful for and then 5 reasons why I am grateful for that. That practice really brings you into the state of feeling gratitude. And it's very difficult to feel negative emotion and feel gratitude at the same time, right? So you wake up, you're in a state of gratitude. Then what I like to do is to write down the goal that I am working towards. What's that thing that's important to me? And this is when I take a little bit of time to envision why it's important to me and why I'm excited about it and why I want to do it or have it or create it. And then from that space, I ask myself, what can I do today to move me towards that goal? What 2 or 3 little steps can I take today that will help me move in that direction? So I like to write that down on a piece of paper. It takes it out of my mind and puts it into the world. There it is on my paper. So for example, let's say that you are working towards a weight loss goal, right? Maybe a few steps you can take today are drinking 64 ounces of water, packing your lunch so that it's ready to go, and thinking about what type of activity or exercise or how you want to move your body today, right? It can be whatever it is you're working towards, but you can see that there are 3 actionable steps that you can cross off your list that you know will move you towards that thing. Tip number 3. Once you have connected to your want and your why, and you wrote down some actionable steps that you could take for the day, I want you to take those steps and schedule them into your calendar. And if you're not somebody who keeps a calendar, then just write it out on a to-do list. This way, when the day takes a turn, or if your emotions try to get the best of you, you can look back at your calendar and you can look back at your list and say, hey, these are the steps that I need to take today to keep my momentum moving forward and to keep me moving towards the things that I really want. I wrote these things down when I was in a clear state of mind before my doubts and my fears tried to interrupt the plan, right? So you've got it there and it gives you something that you can just stick with even when things feel a little rocky throughout the day. We all are living in very busy times, and I know that we all have very busy schedules, and that's why it's so important that we get in a habit of putting ourselves back on our own lists. You want to wake up and take care of you before you start taking care of everybody else, right? Before you're dealing with the rest of the world and the emails and the family, etc. Put first things first and make sure that you schedule it in. Tip number 4, and this is a really important one, allow yourself to be where you are as you work towards the goal, right? Just because we take the time to identify the want and the why, and then we connect to that space and we think about steps that we can take and we write them down and we schedule them in, once we create our own plan, it does not necessarily mean that now we're going to stick to the plan perfectly. As a matter of fact, it's very unlikely that you're going to stick to that initial plan perfectly, right? But where things go wrong, where things fall off, where things aren't clicking or connecting, that's exactly where the work lies, and that's exactly where the magic happens. That's where the greatest lessons are. That's where you really get to know yourself and understand yourself and meet yourself so that you can adjust and tweak and create things the way you need them or the way you really want them, right? Don't fall into the habit of self-rejecting and self-criticizing and being mean to yourself just because things didn't go according to plan, right? Things are never going to work out perfectly. They're going to get messy. That does not mean anything has gone wrong. Our practice needs to be to lean into that mess a little bit, to soften around it so that we can really take a look and see what is going on. Because it's very hard to change something that you don't understand, and it's very hard to understand something that you're not willing to look at. It's the exact parts of ourselves that we find annoying or frustrating or overwhelming and that we want to push away. Those are the exact spots that we have to get to know and learn and understand. That, my friends, is the playing field. And tip number 5 is to take the time to celebrate the small wins. Any great success is made of lots of little steps, right? And if we don't take the time to acknowledge it while we're on the journey, sometimes it's hard to keep the momentum going. So what I really want to encourage you to do is to celebrate what you're doing that's working. And I also want you to celebrate what's not working and the things that you've been willing to look at and learn from them, right? Every step is a piece to your puzzle, and every step moves you forward if you're willing to learn and adjust and learn and adjust. A practice that I think is one to really cultivate is that at the end of your day, take 5 minutes before you go to bed at night and just write out the things that went well today, the things that were small victories. Acknowledge them and see them for yourself, because really so much of this game is retraining the brain to look for the good, right? You can get in bed at the end of the day and you can think about things that went wrong, or you can look for the things that went right. Both options are available to us, so why not practice putting your attention and your focus on the things that are actually working for you? This feeds the momentum of feeding the positive and creating more of that for yourself in your lives, and it's more likely to move you towards where you're wanting to go. So that's what I've got for you today. Those are my 5 tips for helping to cultivate more self-discipline in your life to help you to continue moving towards your health, wellness, and weight loss goals. As always, if you have anything to add to the conversation, I would love to hear it. Come on down to the comments below and do share. If you have questions, thoughts, aha moments, put it down in the comments below, and please continue to support each other as well. I love that we have a community here where we can all be open and be honest and learn together. So until next time, my friends, thank you so much for watching. I am Dani Spies, and I will see you back here next time with some more food for thought.